Welcome back to the Sensors and Digital Circuits course from Surin Sandbox. In this video, we'll walk through the code for the KY020 tilt switch circuit you built in the last lesson. Follow along as we explain each line step by step, so you can understand how the code makes your circuit come to life. Let's begin by adding a couple of blank lines above the setup function. This gives us room to add a title or comments at the top of our sketch. Next, let's create a variable for the tilt pin we connected to pin number 3 on the Arduino Uno. For this program, we also need to create a variable to store the value of the tilt switch. This value will be either low or high. We've used 5 LEDs in our circuit. We could create a separate variable and pin mode line for each one, but when we see repetitive lines of code, that's usually a hint that we can write smarter code. So let's create a variable we can use in our for loops instead. Now let's create a brief delay. We want the LEDs to turn on and off in sequence, and the delay will make that easier to see. In the setup, instead of writing a pin mode line for each of the 5 LEDs, we'll use a for loop to set each pin as an output. We'll use the variable j to represent each pin. The first LED is connected to pin number 7 on the Arduino Uno, so we'll start the for loop at pin 7. Since we're using 5 pins, we'll say that as long as j is less than 12, we'll run the code inside the loop. Each time the loop runs, j increases by 1. So the first time the loop runs, the logic applies to pin 7, then pin 8, then pin 9, and so on, up to, but not including, pin 12. Setting each pin as an output. The tilt switch is connected to pin number 3. Since the tilt switch is a sensor and we're waiting for a signal, either 1 which is high or 0 which is low, we'll set the pin mode as an input. In the setup function, we want to set the initial tilt state and set the LED pins to high or low depending on that state. So let's start by assigning a value to the tilt state variable. Here, we'll create another for loop, looping through the same 5 pins. This time, we'll set each pin either high, to turn the LED on, or low, to turn it off, based on the tilt state. We'll use a single line of code to set each LED. It reads, digitalRead, open bracket, j, comma, tilt state equals low, question mark high, colon low, close bracket. This means if the tilt state is low, the LED will turn on. If it's not, the LED will stay off. A ternary operator is a shortcut way to write an if-else statement. It follows this format: condition, question mark, value if true, colon, value if false. In our example, if tilt state is low, we set the LED to high. Otherwise, we set it to low. It's a compact way to write simple decisions in just one line. Let's also add a line to begin serial communication. This will help us debug the code if we run into any problems. We'll use serial.begin with a value of 9600. In the loop function, the first thing we need to do is assign a value to the tilt state variable. Then we'll print the tilt state to the serial monitor so we can see whether it's reading high or low. Now, to decide whether the LEDs should be on or off, we'll use if-else conditional statements. If the tilt state is low, we'll use a for loop to turn each of the LEDs on by setting them to high. We'll also add a short delay so the sequence is easier to see. So far, we've told our program that if the tilt pin is low, the LEDs will turn on. Now, we'll use an else statement. So if the tilt pin is not low, the LEDs will turn off. To turn the LEDs off from the last one to the first, we need to reverse the for loop and count backwards. Verify the code. Okay, looks like I made a mistake when assigning the value to tilt state. I accidentally used digitalRead, but I should have used digitalRead instead, since we're reading input from the tilt sensor. Let's try verifying the code again. It's good practice to fix one error at a time and then verify your code to make sure everything is working before moving on. I see what happened here. I accidentally put the else statement inside the if statement. The else statement needs to come after the closing curly brace of the if statement. Okay, let's try verifying the code again. Looks good. Now we can upload the code to the Arduino. Open the serial monitor, and you'll see the tilt state displayed as either 1 or 0. If your circuit is working, it's time to experiment. Try adding another LED and update your code to make it work. Or try adding a new component, like a buzzer, and write the conditions to make it buzz. It's your program, change it any way you want and see what happens. If your circuit isn't working, double-check the wiring. Go step by step to find the issue. And remember, you can always ask your instructor or use the chat feature if you get stuck. That's it for this lesson. You've now seen how the KY020 tilt switch works with your Arduino and how to control multiple LEDs based on sensor input. If you found this helpful, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more lessons just like this one.